Yep, it's not the normal bib, but it's gonna have to do the trick for the next little while. I'm making vegetable soup today. In fact, it's gluten-free and vegan. I hope you'll stick around. Apparently, Santa slipped a little something else into the stockings this year in addition to that lump of coal. COVID. That probably explains why you haven't seen a lot of outdoors on GP Outdoors lately. And I've been doing some of my videos from the garage. It's because I've been home. Before we go much further, let me explain. The purpose of the video today is to talk a little bit about my experience here over the holidays and over New Year's, trying to care for two of my family members that have COVID here in the house. I wasn't prepared. In fact, I didn't believe how unprepared I was. And that's all on me, because I should have known better. So I'm hoping to accomplish two things today with this video, if you're willing to stick around. One, I want to identify what I realized I should have done to be prepared in the event that somebody in the house or one of my loved ones got COVID. And two, I want to share with you some of the things that seems to have worked or helped to ease us through it. And I'm hoping if it's of value to you that you'll stick around to the end of the video. Might be long. One point of disclosure, I am not a medical doctor and I am not giving you medical advice. I'm just showing you the things that I've done or that we've done together that we think may have helped a bit. And I'm going to identify some of the things that I think are important to have before you find out somebody has come down with COVID, or Omicron as it's currently called in its variant. Oh, and hey, before I go any further, my daughter is doing much better. She's on the mend and pretty much out of it, but unfortunately Carol caught it partway through, so she's kind of still in that middle range and hopefully working her way through it without any more difficulties. Hey, and me, I got great genes, so I'm doing okay. So I'll give you the quick rundown. That Omicron is everything it said and more. It doesn't come on fast. It takes a couple of days, you start to feel a little bit worse each day, and then all of a sudden it escalates very quickly. And that's how my daughter got it, and that's the same pattern that has affected my wife. And once they got it, you wake up in the morning, your daughter's in a lot of pain, she's got a fever, she's got chills at the same time, massive headaches, very, very difficult or deep internal pain, muscular and bone, and in her case as well, affected her digestive system or intestines. And she's in trouble. And the day before, or the day before that, we thought it just might be, a little bit of a cold here and there, because those are kind of the symptoms you start to see until it escalates, and it did very quickly. So there I am at 7:30 in the morning, and I'm thinking, okay, I need to get her tested. This is one of the most important things I learned, and I should have been prepared for. And I'm hoping after you watch this video today, it's the first thing you're going to do. Great, let's get her tested. Not so easy. There are a lot of places that do testing. Pharmacies, pretty much I think any pharmacy, a bunch of medical clinics. There are a number of different places that they've opened up for testing, but there are rules around testing for one, and for two, the earliest appointment I could book to get her tested, short of having her taken to a hospital, was February. I am not exaggerating, my friends. February. There were no tests available at any of the pharmacies within about 125 kilometers of my home, not to mention the fact that in theory, once you've been exposed to somebody with the Omicron, I'm not supposed to leave the house. I had no tests. There are a lot of places you can buy a test online, or you can buy them at the pharmacy, or have them done at the pharmacies. But there were no tests to be had. Every pharmacy and every outlet was out of stock, and the earliest I could get a test shipped to me from an online company was the middle of January. Again, no exaggeration. So, how did I get the test? I was fortunate enough that my eldest daughter, who no longer lives with us, she's out on her own, picked up a 5-pack of tests about 3 weeks before, and she had some left. And I'm very grateful for that, because otherwise the only way to have gotten her tested was to have her rushed to the hospital. And as you know, our hospitals are overloaded. They're stretched way beyond capacity. And most importantly, all of our online direction or guidance from our government and other bodies and medical bodies is that if you get the Omicron, you need to stay home and treat it at home unless it becomes too severe. Well, severe is a relative term. But either way, I didn't want to contribute to that. She was still able to breathe, although her breathing was a little bit challenged. She was just in a lot of pain. So hey, that's priority one. Go online or go to your pharmacy, because all the pharmacies sell them. Find yourself what they call a COVID-19 antigen test. Usually come in a 5-pack. You can get them online. I think they're somewhere between around $25 to $50, in that range. I think the pharmacies locally here are selling them for $40 or $45. But waking up in the morning at 7:30 and not knowing what to do and not being able to test someone, or having to bundle them up and put them in the truck and drive half an hour somewhere to find somewhere to test them, I think there's a big peace of mind with having one of these in the house. And hey, if you live in Ontario, don't count on the free ones. I know the Premier said he bought 34 million of them, but I live in a big city here and nobody's got them, and you can't find them anywhere. Ironically, there are less than 15 million people that live in this province, so I don't know who hoarded the other 20 million kits, but we can't find them. They've been out since literally a day or two after they released the announcement before Christmas. Do yourself a favor, just go buy a kit. Get it in the house. Step one. Don't forget what our old Canadian friend Red Green used to say. The ladies don't find you handsome. They best at least find you handy. And that includes in the kitchen. So the websites say that if you've contracted it or you test positive for it, one, anybody in the house has got to stay in the house now and quarantine. But two, they tell you to treat it at home. Not a lot of direction. So this part of the video I'm hoping will be helpful for you to make sure that you've got some of these basic things or similar items at the ready. Because once it hits, you can't jump in the truck and go to the pharmacy. First step, an old favorite. If you're not sure what this is, it's a vaporizer. Simple unit, which you probably remember from childhood. Your grandmother always put in your bedroom when you were sick as a child. And don't forget, you need a little vapor rub. Works pretty simple. Fill it with water, take some of this vapor rub, put it into the reservoir, plug it in, it turns on, and both my wife and my daughter said it helped immensely to help clear the airways or to help them breathe better. So it's a must-have. Remember this guy? Brings back more memories. Hot water bottle. It's a must-have again that you got to put in your kit. My daughter experienced a lot of digestive or abdominal or intestinal pains, and this is very comforting. Again, simple little device you can pick up at the pharmacy if you don't have one in the house, and keep it with your preparedness kit. It never hurts to have a heating blanket. Lasts a little bit longer than the old water bottle. And a few other things which I didn't have on hand, which I ended up having to get delivered to the house. And again, I'm not a doctor, and what works for you and what your allergies are or what you're allowed to take or you can or cannot take, you need to check yourself and decide for yourself. But for us, a few things that are important. Zinc, pretty important from what I've read and from talking to one of the doctors in the hospital. However, part of the issue with this illness is your throat is inflamed and sore and raw. Nobody's going to swallow a horse pill this big. They're just not. And even though when you're a kid, you know, you used to crunch it up in a spoon and try to take it with sugar, very difficult. You're going to find that whether it's your wife or your daughter, they're going to have a difficult time swallowing for several days, and it also affects their breathing, of course. And they're also going to lose appetite. But you got to get water and keep them hydrated and try to get food into them. We'll talk about that in a second. In the meantime, I know they're horrendously expensive, but you can get multivitamins, in a lot of cases zinc and those things, in a gummy form. They charge an arm and a leg for them, but given the circumstances, Nobody's going to try to get one of those down a tight, sore, inflamed throat. Get the gummies and make sure you've got zinc in there, lots of vitamin C, and the other vitamins that come in the multi. Pains and aches, one of the big symptoms or experiences that we've had in both cases is joint and muscle aches, and lots of it. So whether you find personally that Advil or Aleve or Tylenol works best for you, make sure you've got some or a bottle on hand as part of your kit, because that's part of it and it's very painful. And in fact, one morning my daughter couldn't even get herself out of bed. That's how bad it hurt. Headaches, big headaches. So whether it's Tylenol or Advil, whatever works for you, make sure you've got it. Quite honestly, lozenges didn't help a lot. So we've got them, and as you can see, we tried a few of them, but it didn't really help to alleviate the inflammation or the soreness in their throats. Cough medicine didn't work very well at all. More or less hydration, and one thing which I read and which the doctor confirmed is you have to replenish electrolytes. You have to keep them hydrated, because through part of this exercise you're going to find that they're losing fluids out of both ends, whether it's vomiting or diarrhea or anything else in between. So something like a Pedialyte or this product here, which we picked up, which you dissolve in water, glass of water, and it tries to help replenish the vitamin C or the electrolytes that they've been losing. Super important. Other than that, anything else that you find that, you know, your daughter or your wife, what's worked with them in the past, just make sure that you've got some of these areas covered off. Let's talk about some food, because they're not eating anymore, and you've got to get something in them. Oh, and in case you were wondering who made this fancy looking bib, my daughter made it. I also want to send out a lot of love to my other two daughters who have been there all along the way, helping us out from afar. I haven't been able to hug them, but they've been there anytime we need them to bring things over or to make sure that we're looked after. They check in on us multiple times a day. Family is a wonderful thing. First up, popsicles. Remember, throat is raw. There's going to be a really deep, hoarse cough and a continuous cough because of possibly fluid or something blocking their airways or in their lungs. And their esophagus is inflamed and it's sore. Lots of popsicles. And preferably, if possible, try to get all natural bars. All they've got in it is fruit juice. It doesn't have all the citric acids or all of the fake flavors in it, which may irritate their throats. And try to look for something that's soft, like a watermelon. You don't want an acidic fruit or something that's sharp. You want something that's got a very gentle flavor or very mild on the throat. But you're going to go through a lot of these. Ice, Ziploc bag, hammer. You're going to need lots of ice chips. Foods, once again, that throat is raw and it hurts, and all of the coughing just continues to irritate it even more. So you're kind of battling uphill. So you want to make sure that any foods that you're going to try to feed to them is soft and something that they're easily able to get down their throat. So for example, baked potato. It's a classic. Get it out of the skin, mash it up a little bit. Avocado, a ripe avocado, cantaloupe, watermelon. If you are going to do dairy, which I highly recommend you stay away from, make sure you get lactose free. Sour cream, lactose free. A lot of people have an intolerance to lactose, and when you've already got your digestive system in crisis, it's not the time to test out to find out if there is some kind of a little intolerance. So don't take the chance. Try to stay away from dairy as much as possible. Remember the old thing we learned as kids, clear fluids. Milk is not a clear fluid. And a big seller, as we all know, sore throat, can't breathe well, and a lot of pain. There's always one recipe that does the trick and goes down a little bit easier than everything else. Good old vegetable soup. My friends, I can't stress enough. Although the direction is to treat your virus at home, Nobody knows your daughter or your wife like you do. And if you get to a point where you believe that things are outside of your control or your ability to manage, don't hesitate to call 911. That's what they're there for. And a couple quick points on the soup. Make sure, given the circumstances, that you add a lot more broth or fluids to the soup. They need fluids. And I'd advise that you cut up the vegetables a lot smaller than you would normally chop them up. Don't use harsh onions like red onions. Use your softer onions. Treat your Omicron at home is a very general statement. And it's probably going to be a little different for each of us because we're all different people. But making sure that you've got some of those basics at the ready when it really does hit, I promise you is going to help a lot. I hope it's been helpful for you, if nothing else. Most importantly, get a pack of those tests. Take a quick look through the old medicine cabinet. Make sure you have some of those basics. Now that's good stuff. If that doesn't cure them, nothing will. I'll leave a link in the description in case you feel adventurous or you need it. Please look after your families. Please be kind. And hopefully I'll see you back at the cabin real soon. Cheers.